built a $1 million supplement brand in the last 10 months on TikTok Shop with $0 in ad spend. And fast forward to now. Yesterday, that supplement brand made me over $50,000 just between Shopify and Amazon. It also has over $100,000 a month worth of monthly subscriptions. So today is part 2 of how to make FU money with supplements. This one is actually a new one that just launched from one of our students. We helped her bring this to market and get everything going, and now she's marketing it on Amazon as well. So exciting to see him grow. Now, this video is part 2, and there's actually 3 different things I want to share with you today that led me to this point and will help you get a supplement brand off the ground. The 3 things I want to share with you are how I decide on what product to launch when I'm building a supplement brand. Okay, I'm going to show you my process. I'm also going to talk about how to do the branding, how to come up with the label and like the idea behind it so that we know we have the right thing before we go do the manufacturing. And then I want to also talk with you about the cost of launching. That'll be the 3rd thing. I'm going to run you through that. This is more of a product research and a back-end setup. Whether you're doing your first product or it's going to be the 8th one underneath the brand, doesn't really matter. Similar process. This is one of mine. Can't tell you what it is yet. As always, I'll leave some resources linked down below. We can help you out depending on your situation, and liking and subscribing this video is the most helpful thing you can do for me. So thank you if you feel like doing that. Here's how I decide on what products to launch. So I actually do use AI a lot. I used to be kind of like, but it has like changed my entire business. So I'm going to run you through that. And this is really the ideation stage and the validation stage. Okay. So this is when I'm coming up with ideas. I'm researching, I'm going back and forth, and it's amazing to have a research tool in your back pocket that can pull every bit of information up front. Okay. So I'm constantly going back and forth on ChatGPT and trying to find product ideas. I want to launch a supplement brand. We got to give it some direction to start. I'm thinking something geared towards middle-aged men. Give me some ideas. So we asked for something that helps with overall health and is a bit unique, not a lot of competition. All right, so here's some of the ideas that it gave us. It did a lot of detailed research. I pay for the top plan here. Charged NAD gummies. NAD plus has been a very, very big thing. Gut armor, very like masculine way to basically call a gut health product something manly. Bergamark's heart chews. Okay, so it's kind of giving us product names here, you know, branding and packaging vibes. So really, I don't read a lot of the stuff when it comes to the packaging and the branding, because I'll actually ask it to make mock-ups once we find an idea. So I'm kind of interested in the gut armor stuff as well as the NAD. NAD is a very premium product. If you're not familiar with it, you can do some research on it. But so I'm looking for something here that's premium. So let's start with this. We're going to take gut armor probiotic caps, which if we look that up, you can see the full detail. It's the result of probiotics, which is live bacteria breaking down prebiotics, food and bacteria, can basically help with fatty acids. Okay, so it's something to do with gut health for sure. It's kind of a premium type product. And the way that I know for sure it's a premium type product is take a look at the price points on some of these very large listings. I actually want to look at this 30-day supply. For a supplement to have a 30-day supply, which is pretty standard, but to not be in the teens or in the 20s, like to be, you know, $35, $45, $55, $60 and not be a small listing. 70,000 people have bought this more than once and came back. So clearly it's big. How many are there though? This is another big one. Okay, 100 reviews. These aren't that big. 1,000 have bought, 20,000. Okay, that's probiotics though. Probiotic, that's different than postbiotic. Okay, this is probiotic and prebiotic. Okay, interesting. Never mind. Maybe there's a different thing here. So I'm going to be looking through here. The first thing that I'm doing is I want to see how many big players are in the space and what's the price point. Because if a lot of these are all like 22, 17, 18, like for me, that just makes it more difficult. You know, I really want something that I can sell for like 30 bucks or higher. That's really, really makes it so much easier for me. But this is definitely giving us something to work with. Let's basically say, awesome. I want to proceed with the postbiotic idea. So we'll literally, without having a lot of expertise in this space and really understanding all the detail, we can actually ask ChatGPT to basically build us the entire brand. And so I asked it here to give me multiple different product ideas so that we can figure out what's the best one to start with. Because when you are launching a supplement brand, you do not need to or want to start with 4 products. When I have something new I'm launching, yeah, I have the money to back it up and launch 4 products. But the more money you put out, you are adding risk, plain and simple. And I'm all for de-risking. So I just launch one product at a time. Once I have one that's working and that pays for everything else, I can go crazy. I can do a lot of stuff. Just get one working and everything else becomes a lot easier. Flagship product, a gut armor probiotic capsule, a postbiotic capsule. Expansion SKU number 2, it's a gut fuel chews. Very interesting name there. So we could actually look this up. Gut health gummies, right? Now we're just starting to like go down the, oh wow, that's funny. This Lemmy brand, I actually have one of those. I buy everything. I just try it all. Super green gummies. Okay, so super greens could be a space there, pretty cheap. Adult super greens gummies. Wow. Look at that premium price point, how many people bought it. Yeah, the gummy space in certain things gets like really pushed down in price point, but there's plenty of like premium brands here. This is a cool premium example. So basically gonna look through here and figure out which one is gonna be the best bet, okay? So let's just say we wanted to continue with the gut mode, power drink mix or powder drink mix, yeah. Let's say. So let's assume that's the product we've kind of deduced we at least want to lean towards. Usually I'll do this with a few products before making a decision, but now I want to start building out roughly the brand, okay? So it actually has given us some research, brand and positioning direction, targeting 35 to 60-year-old men with subtle gut issues, bloating, low energy, they have a lot of cravings, don't feel great the next day after eating a pizza. Like you could come up with a bunch of stuff like that. But a lot of these brands that are targeting gut health are very like women oriented or at least neutral, some flowers on the packaging. You don't see a lot of stuff that's branded for men, right? In many spaces, like the tea space, I think there's an opportunity there. But so you start to kind of go through this stuff. And now what I'm doing here is I want to build out a document that this is kind of jumping to step 2. And now what I'm doing here is just asking for a visual to start building out the brand image. But before I get too ahead of ourselves, what I was looking for during this entire thing was number 1, a USP, a unique selling point. Okay, what makes the product different from something else? How is it captivating? Okay, I'm looking at competition level, obviously competition pricing, and does it fit under my brand? This is one that doesn't get talked about enough. I have a supplement brand. There are product ideas I find that I think are really good, but it doesn't fit under that brand. So either I'm not doing it, or I'm gonna start another brand, which is a big decision, right? I don't like doing many things. On your first product, not as big of a deal, right? You kind of go where the wind goes and find the first product that's right, but that is something to consider later. So we have found competition level. There's a couple big listings, nothing too crazy. It's a very big industry. Definitely premium pricing. I like that. That gives us a lot of room to work with because usually those products don't cost all that much more. A lot of the products you see that are like $22, people probably buying for like $4 to $5. And a lot of stuff you see that's $49, right? People are probably buying for like $7 to $9, maybe even if it's 10, the dollar profit there makes it so much easier to run ads and actually acquire a customer. So then we jump in once we have the idea to branding and packaging. And that's what we're doing here. And this is arguably more important than the actual product and the ingredients, which by the way, ChatGPT can help you with this. Wow, look at this. This is sick. So got us some colors. It made a random mock-up logo. We don't even have a brand name yet. Gut mode, hydrate, fortify, deflate. Berry lime, it picked a random flavor. Obviously, you go back and forth with the manufacturer. What I want to do here is start to come up with like the feel of the brand. And this is actually a really important thing because you're going to define this entire branding around the angle of the product. Okay, this is how I've been successful in the supplement space. I'm going to give you an example right now. Creatine, very common supplement. What does it help with? Muscle growth, hydration, recovery. There's cognitive benefits, post-menopausal, how do I even spell that? Benefits for women. But everybody markets on this one, muscle growth. That's commonly what it's referred to. So what if instead of, creatine powder, for men, what if it's a, body recovery gummy for, for moms, for women, right? We've now totally shifted it away from even saying creatine. Creatine's not even in the headline now. Now it's like a secondary line below. Like that's crazy to do something else with a different product, but like get one thing going. So niching down is actually a fantastic idea. And so we're gonna look at here, like hydrate, fortify, no bloating. One of those can be like our main thing. We can have a general product, but we could also call it like, men's gut defense product. Now we're kind of leaning on one specific thing, defend it before you have a problem. That's a good idea. And then what I'm doing is now I'm creating a brief for a graphic designer, just like this Google Doc you're seeing right now. I'll basically take this, I'll take a screenshot of everything I see, and I'm gonna upload it in here, and I'll write a little bullet point list. A couple things I like, a couple things I don't like. I'm gonna go on Amazon. Okay, I hate this entire label. This is awful. So what I'm gonna do, you guessed it, I'm gonna take a screenshot and I'm gonna make a list. What do I like about it? What don't I like? Well, I like some of the text style, like this here, like this is good font for that. Like, the organization of it maybe. I don't like the coloring, I don't like the background design, I don't like their logo. Like there's a lot of things. So you wanna give information here, and this is starting to build out like the brand image, especially on the first product. Eventually, if you do proceed with it, this is the information that's going straight to the graphic designer. But we can also ask ChatGPT. We asked it for one that's more colorful, so it's gonna build that out. We can just try different stuff. I'll do like 15 of these variations and just see what sticks. But at the end of the day, guys, like this is what creates these results. Like yesterday was 45,000 here. We also have Amazon, which averages about $10,000 a day almost. And our biggest struggle is inventory, right? Selling one product Now we're building out a whole product line, and that's how I'm gonna take this to many millions a month. It just is what it is. I have a lot of fun making these videos. My company also does two things for people. We have a coaching group that is usually opening up every other month. So you can apply for that down below, book a call, talk to us, see if it's open, see what we do. Very small group setting, mostly brand owners that are building something custom like this. And then for people who have a much larger budget, if you have like 25,000 plus for inventory to get stuff made in the US and buy a little more inventory, we can help you actually create the entire supplement line. We'll build you the first product, do the formulation, hook you up with our manufacturing, 3PL, everything, and then coach you through the actual marketing stuff. And if it doesn't work, I'll buy the inventory back from you. So we have a couple different things. You can get some more information down below on that, but those are the two things my company offers. Kind of like a done with you setup thing, and then like the coaching stuff that's obviously created some insane results out of there. I show this brand, like they'd watched me build this brand live inside of that group from when this was doing $100 a day on a good day. Like, look at this. It's just consistently, I mean, we were averaging, $10,000 to $15,000 a day, started hitting some 20K days and just poof, just started exploding. We finally are starting to get through some more inventory, and now we're selling out again. But the cost of launching. So with the tariffs that have obviously been all over the place and changing constantly, US manufacturers have been more busy, naturally. With all the crazy stuff going on there, everybody seems to want to move their manufacturing here to the US. I already had it here for many reasons. And I've seen the manufacturers that I know and I'm friends with, and also the ones I work with, like, have gotten super busy. The lead time there has changed a lot for most manufacturers. So maybe they used to be able to get your order ready in 60 days. So instead of 2 months now, it's 4 months. Pretty common. Manufacturing is always a lot slower than you might think. Like, they take a lot of time. One thing you could look at is smaller manufacturers. They can oftentimes get you a lower MOQ, your minimum order quantity. If you go to big manufacturers, they're gonna want you to order 5, 10, 20,000 units. That's pretty common. A big gummy manufacturer that I just interviewed, they're like, yeah, minimum is 1.9 million gummies. So it's depending on your gummy count in the bottle, it's 15 to 25,000 units per SKU. So if you have 3 flavors, that's each, right? That's minimum. So you're talking about like, 400 grand you're putting out if you want to do 3 flavors. So it just depends. But being creative, you should be able to do like a 2,000 unit MOQ without a lot of difficulty. Just reach out to like 10 manufacturers. A lot of people just reach out to 2, like talk to people. Tell them what you're trying to do. There's pros and cons. Like, a smaller manufacturer might be able to get you a smaller order up front, save you a little bit of money on the front end, but as you scale, might present a problem. That's why it's really important, especially with the smaller manufacturers, ask about their capacity. Ask about their current largest client. You're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. You do not have to work with them. You're probably looking between $5 to $9 in product cost, depending on what it is. So if we want to go ahead and proceed with this gut mode product, if this is a powder, it's gonna be pretty cheap and pretty easy to make. If it's a capsule, right, a pill, pretty easy, pretty cheap. If it's a gummy, a lot more expensive, for sure. So I would assume that product for a 30 serving thing is gonna be $4 to $6 for both a powder and a capsule. It really just depends on the ingredients. The ingredients change things greatly. And if you're at a gummy, you're probably looking at 6 to 8. 6 to 8, 6 to 9. And so that's where, looking at what type you wanna launch, this is actually where I built a really big winning product, this one right here. This product was super common, the ingredient, but not a lot of companies had made gummies. And the companies that had were lying to their customers about what was inside of it. They had failed third-party testing. And I know that because we went and bought their product and third-party tested it. And so I made a product and then publicly showed our third-party testing, and we made that very like relevant thing on our website. But so that's how I led the marketing, was just being active and showing our testing and being super transparent. So depending on that MOQ, again, if you're ordering 2,000 units of something, you're kind of looking at like $10,000 to $15,000. It can be less, if it's a pill capsule, maybe they'll do 1,500 units. It just kind of depends. Just have a conversation. Every manufacturer is very different. And then cost-wise, graphic design, label, if you're gonna get that done properly, build this stuff in ChatGPT that I just showed you, a real graphic designer is gonna charge you between $500 to $1,500 to do logo, label, and those graphic design images that you can use on your website and Amazon and everything like that. You've obviously got some smaller stuff, domain, website hosting for like $30 a month, any softwares or apps you wanna use, call out $100, $200 a month. And the marketing, that's obviously the big cost, is ads, influencers. What do you do? Like, what we teach inside of our group is we do a lot of stuff on TikTok Shop and a lot of stuff on Meta ads. And our focus is content. And one of the great ways we get content is TikTok Shop, but another is working with influencers, right? I have an influencer guy full-time who manages our stuff, and I actually brought him into our training to teach everybody in our group. And so we spend a lot of money with large YouTube influencers, Instagram people, and then we take that content, which already made us money, and I go run that as ads on Facebook. And that's our biggest ads. And that is ultimately how it's crushing crazy days, right? But you can see the growth in this. I mean, it's done like $1 million in the last 90 days. But in the next 30, I bet you I'll do over $1 million just in the next month, just on Shopify. right? Just from one product. So it's just a growth of that. But marketing cost is kind of the main startup stuff. So I think you could creatively start something up for like 3K. You could look into doing some sort of private label, often known as white labeling, someone else's product. Technically, there's a lot of services in the US that allow you to do that. You just create your own label. It's already their stock formula. You can order less inventory, but just kind of depends on the manufacturer. And that's the big question mark here. That is a bit on the cost. And just to give you a reference point, my coaching group helps people who have at least $10,000 or more, to start buying some inventory, build a custom brand. There is cost associated with that, but people have 10K or more and they want to build a long-term brand. We don't work with dropshippers anymore. We've had some people in there that were doing millions a month dropshipping. We don't take them in anymore. It's just not the focus of the group. And then I help build supplement brands for people who have at least $25,000 plus in liquid capital and want to build a brand in the US, get help with product ideas, formulation, hooked up with my manufacturer, 3PL, all this stuff. Both those things will be linked down below. Now, it might sound fast, but it's really not. I want to give you a quick timeline here on this brand I've been building for like a year and a half. Month 5, I did $8,900. If that was any other dropshipping thing, I would have quit long before. That's nothing. A couple $100s a day in revenue. Month 10, I'd finally got it to 60K a month. Wasn't running like any Facebook ads. This is pretty organic, which was cool. And then month 12, in this time frame, I'd figured out Facebook ads and went like this. And that's what we teach, is going like that with the content, pulling the big lever. Once you have all the content, you're working with influencers and you got TikTok shop going, you can scale. Okay. And now obviously it's a lot more. That's really what it is that we're doing. Let me know what you want to see in part 3 of how to make FU money with supplements. I've been loving building this business and I've been super, super active and involved in it for a long time. And we're continuing to hire more people to build the entire company. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you in the next video.